This is the School Success Podcast, a podcast for school leaders to learn from other school leaders what's working and what's not, and to get inspiration and encouragement, as well as strategies to grow school enrollment, connect with families, retain teachers, recruit teachers, and everything in between. You guys are heroes, and I cannot thank you enough for pouring into this next generation that's coming behind us. My goal is you will take at least one thing away from every episode that you can take back to your school to make it better than it is right now. Please enjoy the School Success Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by the Herzog Foundation.
Time for school.
Hey, School Success Makers. Welcome to another edition of the School Success Podcast. I'm your host, Mitchell Slater, joined by a new friend out of the great state of North Carolina, Jeremy Blackstock, who is the head of school at High Point Christian Academy in High Point, North Carolina. And I got connected with him a little over a month ago. You know, he's gotten doing some cool things. Plus, we're also bald brothers from another mother. And so we connect on multiple levels. And so we're just going to have fun talking about, I don't know, we can talk about what we do with besides hats. You know, it's pretty much all we do. It sounded like when Jeremy and I were talking before we started recording. So we got that. He's a master griller, you know, not on a Blackstone though. We made sure of that at the beginning of this episode because I kept saying Blackstone. He's like, no, it's Blackstock. So he's Blackstock on the Blackstone. We got some great stories, guys. Great things going on. But you're not here to hear about that. You're here to hear about education and how you can make your school better and your leaders better. So we'll jump into all of that here in just a second. But I always pass it off to our guests to introduce themselves first. So Jeremy, welcome to the podcast today, sir.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited about this.
We're going to have a blast. Well, I ask everybody the same question before we get started. And it's this: if I was to visit you in High Point, North Carolina, what would you say, Mitchell? You need to eat this and do this to experience High Point, North Carolina.
Whew. Well, barbecue is big in North Carolina. So if you were coming to High Point, I would probably tell you to go to Sweet Old Bill's Barbecue. It's really good. But, you know, I'm pretty lame when it comes to certain things. I could point out the local Chick-fil-A or something like that. But Sweet Old Bill's is a local establishment. Pretty good barbecue. And what was your second question?
What would I do? What's something fun to do?
Well, High Point's known for furniture. So it's considered the furniture capital of the world. A lot of furniture industry is here. There's a lot of things. The world's largest chest of drawers is in High Point. So I would send you over to see that. A lot of local history. You could visit Greensboro, Winston-Salem. They're all within 30 minutes. So there's just a lot of things to do in the Triad area. So in High Point, you could do things here, but if you expand out a half hour, there's a lot of things to do.
I would hope that the furniture is discounted heavily there. Is that the case or no?
Well, I mean, anytime we need furniture at school, we have a lot of people we can call. I don't necessarily know about discounted, but we have a lot of resources at our disposal.
Okay, very good. Yeah. Well, appreciate you jumping on, taking time to be on the podcast today. We're gonna have a blast as we always do. We start with this as we do introductions. Tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, and a little bit about the school, how you got there, just that little bit before we get jump into some of the questions.
Sure. I grew up in public school. You know, most of my life, my parents were products of public school. My sister went to public school all the way until I didn't move to a Christian school or private Christian school until my 9th grade year. So up until that point, my experience was all public school. And really, when I was at this Christian school in Augusta, Georgia, where I grew up, it really changed my life in a lot of ways because it set me on a path of wanting to coach, wanting to teach, because the most influential people in my life were outside of my parents, were my teachers and coaches. And it kind of put me on this path through college to go. It was one of those deals like, I'm just going to be a coach. I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to coach football. I'm going to coach baseball, teach history. I think you have to teach history if you coach both of those things. I'm pretty sure it's a requirement. But I went into teaching and coaching and just kind of worked my way through the coaching ranks in Florida and Georgia and just worked my way through. And that shifted probably about 15 years ago. I was at a school in Metro Atlanta and had the opportunity to move into athletic administration, which eventually led to academic administration. So athletic director, then moved into being a dean of middle school, then a middle school principal, then a high school principal, and kind of just upper school principal, just kind of went that route. And it was to a point, let's start considering head of school jobs. And the first head of school job was at a school in South Carolina. It was a little bit of a struggle. I mean, it was one of those deals, your first big leadership role, but I learned a tremendous amount from that, made some incredible friendships that still continue to this day. But it taught me a lot to prepare me to be where I am now at High Point Christian. And I was able to have I would consider a successful head of school stint in Georgia before moving here. And this opportunity came up. It was a larger, thriving ministry. It was exciting, a lot going on. It did not have a lot of turnover in the headship of the school. The school's 30 years old. There had only been 2 heads of school.
Wow.
So I'm the 3rd head of school in 30 years. So that, as somebody who was a head of school, that said a lot to me, that there were 2 individuals before me that were here a long time. And because you're liked or respected if you're somewhere that long. I mean, if you survive at this point in education, if you survive somewhere that long, the place is a special place. So we were able to move here. Our kids are older. Our son is teaching and coaching in South Carolina. Our daughter is wrapping up college here in the next couple of years. She goes to a school in Georgia. So we were at that stage of life where it was easier to make that move. It was a huge step of faith for us, for sure, because it was a larger ministry. But God kind of directed and guided through the process. And, here we are, and I'm in my 2nd year here at High Point Christian. And, I will tell everybody, I have the best job in the world. I think every head of school probably says that. But I have an incredibly supportive board of directors who allows me to lead. We have a growing enrollment. We're close to 1,000 students, preschool through 12. Most of our grades are at capacity. Financially, we've been very blessed as a school. So as a head of school, those things are great, but also our mission, we're meeting our mission each day. Like, I have a leadership team that's aligned, and we are all focused on the mission. I don't feel like there's any area that's fighting against the mission of the school of providing a, excellent partnership with churches and family and providing a Christ-centered education. We're not fighting against that mission every day. I mean, we're still having the worldly example of success, with enrollment, budget, things of that nature, retention. But we're still meeting our mission.
Good.
And doing those things. We haven't sacrificed mission to grow in those areas. So I'm it's not, again, I didn't walk into a rough situation. I walked in and serving with a very strong leadership team, a very capable and knowledgeable people. So I just get to enjoy the benefits of working with strong leaders.
Good, man. Well, they talk about in corporate America, you climb the corporate ladder, if you will. Then you're showing that you were a teacher, athletic director, principal, dean, all these things, kind of like doing it on the education side to get to the head of school role. And so I do want to ask you this: do you feel like that just happened naturally, and you just kind of kept going, taking the next step when God opened these doors in front of you? Because the reason I ask this, I hear often schools will say, "Man, Mr. Smith over there, he's an amazing teacher. We need a head of school. Let's make him. He's the best teacher we got. Let's make him a head of school." I was like, well, no, Mr. Smith's a teacher. Like, he's an educator. That's what he's really good at. You pulled him into and put him into administration, which is just a whole different ballgame. How did that transition for you go to where you went from that to now leading a school of almost 1,000 students? That's a huge difference over many years, I know. But like, what was that like for you?
Well, my heart, I'm still a coach. I've coached along the way, even as a head of school. I helped with our middle school football team this past year. I think they just need a bus driver. So I'm doing that. But I'm still a coach at heart. And I don't see what I'm doing any different. I'm just coaching a different team. I mean, it's not football or baseball, but you're still encouraging, you're serving, you're leading, you're holding yourself accountable, you're taking ownership of the outcomes. Like, you're still doing everything that you would do as a coach. Just doing it in a little bit different of a capacity. Stakes might be a little higher, but I I enjoy that aspect of communication, development, just leadership, just kind of setting a direction and empowering other people to do what God's designed them to do or what they were hired to do. And moving into those roles, I mean, it's been a struggle because you learn. I mean, leadership qualities are the same. I think they're universal, but you have to know how to apply them in different situations. As a football coach, if something's not going well, like you can do up downs or punish the kids. Can't very well do that with an administrative team. If things aren't going well, you can't go out and make them run sprints to get the point across. Like you just have to learn how to apply leadership. And it's been, obviously there's a learning curve, but it's been good. I've been able to apply, okay, I've dealt with this in this area. It's good to see how it can translate into this area. So it did take some time, but it's really just, it stretches your capacity as a leader, of course, which isn't a bad thing. I think we all should continue to push ourselves and stretch ourselves. But it's been a good transition over time. I've enjoyed it. Like I'm appreciative of all my experiences, good or bad, to how they play into this role today.
And with 1,000 students, how many staff does that set you guys at?
We're a little over 150.
Okay, so it's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of moving parts.
Yes.
Going in. When you talk about, you mentioned the different leadership in various aspects of the school. What does that look like for you? I mean, obviously you got 150. You can't effectively be in the life of all 150 of them. Obviously not in the life of all 1,000 students. So where does that focus lie for you in terms of making sure there is leadership in every aspect? But you can't, obviously, it can't come from Jeremy in every aspect of the school because you're one person.
And that's tough for me, just because I want to be relational and connect. But I also know realistically, if I spend all my time doing that, I am neglecting some aspects of my job. And so I've had to balance that, because I came from a school that was 400 students, and I knew every single child because I would stand there in the lunch line and help the lunch line. Like, I would find ways to connect and get to know them and the teachers. And we were not administrative heavy. So I was dealing with the teachers a lot more. So, and I step into this situation where we have very strong divisional leadership. I'm really spending most of my time with them, making sure we're communicating expectations, we're staying on mission, we're forging ahead, those things. And I have to take the time in the morning, being out at car line or walking the hall, saying good morning, helping out, cleaning up after lunch. Like I do work to find these ways to stay connected to the staff, where it would be very easy for me to sit in my office all day. And it just would be like, there's just always enough to do, but I do have to create some margin in my day to be visible, to work on that. It's tough to make it organic, just because of just the nature and the number of everybody, but just finding ways to stay connected, ask about family, talk about their children. And again, I'm the third head of school. So the previous head was here 25 years total, not as head, but so they knew him very well. And, it takes a while to get to know people other than very small talk, surface level conversations. And that's an area that is a struggle for me at times. I'm trying to work through that and just continuing to build those relationships with staff. So.
Yeah. And you're 2 years in, obviously. So it's early. We talked about somebody there for a quarter of a century. You're going to lose a lot of hair by the time you're there that long. Right?
Well, it's not going to take me long.
Yeah. So what are some of these things as you're getting into year 2, bigger students? What are some things each week that you're trying to make sure, maybe it's every month, but like, I'm going to try and do this thing to connect with staff or students in terms of the leadership side? Do you try and do one-on-ones every quarter with everybody, so you at least get to know them and their family and their kids? Or is that not even possible really to do because of being so big?
Well, we have our admin leadership team meetings, but I do an individual divisional leader or director meeting 2 times a month. So I'm able to spend one-on-one time with each administrator just throughout the month.
Hey, school success makers, Mitchell here. I just want to take a really quick break from the show to give a big, huge shout out to the Herzog Foundation. I absolutely love the Herzog Foundation. I've been friends and partners with them for a couple years now, but we're bringing it to a whole new level. And I'm excited to share that our very own School Success podcast is now featured on the Herzog Foundation Podcast Network. The Herzog Foundation is a powerhouse of resources designed to support schools like yours, from free training events through the Herzog Foundation Institute to their incredible online news publication, The Lion, and of course, our new podcast, Home. They have everything you need to stay informed and inspired. And if you're dreaming of starting your own Christian school or co-op, don't miss their online course, Schoolbox. It's a fantastic resource to help you get started on the right foot. At School Success, we're proud to partner with the Herzog Foundation to bring you these valuable tools and insights. So visit herzogfoundation.com to explore all they have to offer. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on these amazing opportunities for growth and success. And I love all the people over there, and I know you guys will too. So please go check them out, and you won't be disappointed. Now, back to the show.
But a lot of the connections with staff is really during the day in the morning. I'll go out there and help at car line. I'll move to different car line locations because we have a few, walk through, say good morning, stand there and chat with the preschool teachers for a little bit, and just working it in those days, being around at lunch. Student wise, that's a little bit tougher. I'm getting better with some of the names, but I do a birthday card for every student. So once a week, I'll sit there and do a next batch, and I will write happy birthday, Mr. Blackstock. And if I know who the child is specifically, like I've had an interaction with them, I'll write something about that, like about that interaction or just some conversation we've had. So I do that every Wednesday morning. So tomorrow morning I got to catch up on April. I got to finish up some of those. But, for instance, I'm a Georgia fan, and we have a young lady who committed to play softball at Georgia Tech. And I did her birthday card last week, and I wrote, "Hey, Blakely, happy birthday, go Dogs." And she saw me today, and she's like, "I got my card, thanks." So I said, "Go Dogs." So that's one way I try. I don't know. I enjoy doing that because it does help me process names, and I'll look on our SIS and I get a picture if I'm not 100% sure, and I'm like, okay, I know who that is. And so I enjoy doing that. We have a specific boy card and a specific girl card, and I'll go through and mail out a batch every week.
So they actually get mailed in the mail, not dropped in lockers or something. It's
mailed in the mail.
I really like that. That's a lot of cards. That's like you got carpal tunnel, happening with you.
Well, when your name's Blackstock, it already takes forever to write your last name, anyways. But no, I enjoy doing that. It's not like I'm not trying to brag about it or anything. It's just something that it's a birthday. You should always have your birthday celebrated.
Yeah.
And what kid does? As a kid, didn't you love to get something in the mail? Oh, now it stinks to get something in the mail because it's a bill. But as a kid, if you got something in the mail, that was exciting. So, and I like when a kid comes up and says, like, especially lower elementary, "Thank you for my card. I got my card." Like that. I'm glad that that's building some sort of connection.
Yeah.
So
that was cool. Is there other things you guys could even add in those cards? Like, do you guys do dress down days, dress down passes, stuff like that? That you could something that could be put into a card where kids are like, "Holy smokes, I got this from."
Well, that's a good idea. I might get the principals mad at me, but I'll have to work on that.
Okay.
But we do a welcome box for every new family that's accepted. Yep. Just with some trinkets in it, like it's a designed HPCA, like join the roar kind of thing box, Cool. And I put in those, I like, "Welcome to the HPCA family." I'd sign a card and we drop them in each one. So we try to, we're a larger school. There's no way around that, but we do try to do things to keep a small school feel, like just to kind of build that family connection. So,
this is a random question because this wasn't planned or what I thought of, but you just said like, "Hey, we're a big school, but we try and have that small school feel." So I was talking to this school last week, and they're a smaller school, a smaller one, and I say like 500 students or so, that they are getting passed up by people coming in for tours and admissions by schools that are 1,000, 1,500 and plus. and the people are saying to them, they're like, hey, like if we don't get into this other school, we're going to go to yours, but we really want to go to the big school because we want a big community. And I'm like, I'm hearing that going, big community? Wouldn't you have a more community in a smaller school? Like in my
Yeah,
head, as I'm hearing this.
that's, you know, in community, there's only so much a school can do to build community.
Yeah.
Parents have to, it's a partnership. Like there has to be an effort to build a community as well, especially within the grade of your child. That's usually where the community is. So we try to do some things during the year where we have multi-divisional events, to try to build some of that. But community is really what you make of it. I don't want people to feel they're lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
Or just a number. And that's tougher. That's tougher with students. So we really have to work as a staff to make sure as you move down the organizational chart, there's strong relationships being built, with families and teachers and administrators and things like that.
That's good. What about if there's somebody in the school that wants to become a head of school, one of your staff members? So like what do you ever encourage people to look at being a head of school? Not that you're like, hey guys, I want to be fired so that somebody can take my spot, but like what does that look like if somebody wants to become a head of school?
First of all, I'd be excited. I love Christian education. I'm passionate about Christian education, but I also know there was a generation of leaders before me, and there's going to be a generation of leaders after me. And I think we need more Christ-centered schools than we do fewer. We need more, and we need strong leaders and educators in those schools. And if somebody expresses a desire to move up in leadership, I'm excited about that. Now, if they've demonstrated capacity to do that, I'm even more excited. There are some people, that's just the way it is. There's some people that want those jobs because it comes with a title or an illusion of authority. It might give you a positional authority, but not really like a moral authority. So there are some people that just want to move up because it's better pay and, all those things. But if there are people that demonstrate, they have these qualities that could translate into leadership, and there's leadership opportunities everywhere. So if somebody wants to do it, I'll say, okay, what are your goals? What do you want to do? Okay, you just want to be a principal? Okay, well, these are the things that you probably need to do. These are the things that will probably be barriers for you to achieve that based on our observations. And you have to be honest with it and say, look, you're really going to have to work on these 2 or 3 things to be effective. Like these are things that could hurt you as an administrator, and just be very open and honest with them, but also show them how to get there and encourage it. But instead of just saying, all right, hey, you got it, man, just, pray for the right opening, but you also have to put them in positions and give them opportunities to grow in that leadership, to see, number one, if they can do it and if they want to do it.
Sure.
But it's not if they want to do. And that's our job, is to empower. As a leader, you want to empower the people that work for you. You should push them professionally, and if they want to grow in leadership, okay, I'm going to help you get there. Like you say you want to do this, and that's great. And if that means you leave High Point Christian, I'm happy for you, because that's what God has for you. That would be very selfish of me if I held back a potential leader because it kept us strong. So, yeah.
I like that. So let me ask you this. If there's a teacher listening and they have the thought, because they maybe heard your story and go, man, he started at the bottom, if you will, just like the bottom, worked his way up different roles. So if somebody's listening, you're like, maybe I could do that, or I want to do that. What are some things that you would say, hey, you need to make sure you're good at this, or start reading books on this, or learning this? Is there something that's, now that you're in that seat, that's helped you be successful, that's helped you have more confidence in the role, of things that maybe a backbone in certain things, because you're going to have difficult conversations with families or staff? Like, what are those things you would say, hey, start doing this and learning this now if you want to be a head of school one day?
Well, one, I would always tell somebody, kind of the old coaching thing, be where your feet are. It's good to have goals. It's good to want to grow professionally, but if right now God has you teaching middle school history, be the very best middle school history teacher you can. You have to, because if you move into an administrative role from a teacher and the other teachers know who the all-stars are, and if you're not an all-star or getting after it, working hard, and you become an administrator, it's going to be harder for them they might respect your position, but you as a leader, they may not do that. So be the best at who you are. Get involved with things outside of your specific discipline. Lead a club, coach a sport, help coach a sport, volunteer in different programs. Get involved. See how a school is run from a different perspective. I think that's very important. If you just go from classroom to that, it's not a bad thing. I mean, you're going to have a very limited perspective. I think you just need to be involved with as much as you can. Ask questions to your administrator, not questioning everything, but ask questions like, hey, how did you decide this? Or why does an administrator do this instead of this? Ask questions to learn and gain an understanding and a perspective. And those are things that you just keep those up. I mean, you could read all the books you want in the world, but there are ways you can build your toolbox, like during the day, just how you interact. And I guess the main thing you have to decide if you are comfortable being uncomfortable. And because there's so many leadership opportunities in Christian schools right now, just about anybody can move to a principalship or a head of, you can, if you really wanted to branch out, you could do it. Like there's so many opportunities to lead because the job will kind of churn through you. There's some turnover. I think the average head of school stay now is 3 years. Like ACSI, I think it's right around there. So clearly there's a lot of turnover, but also understand, am I okay having uncomfortable conversations? Am I going to be able to sit there and tell a parent their child has to leave the school? Am I going to have to sit there and tell a staff member, you are no longer going to work here? Like, are you able to do that? Now, nobody likes doing those things, or they shouldn't. Like, those aren't like, you don't wake up and want those conversations. But if you understand that that is part of leadership and part of the job, if you can do those things and get to a place mentally where, like, I don't like it, but I know I have to do it because it's what's best for the school and it's best for everybody involved, that's a big thing. Because there's a lot of people that get into administration that don't necessarily want to do that, and they don't ever get to a place where they can do that. And that's a big part of it. I know it's a small part. It's not what you do every day, but it will hurt you as a leader if you don't make the tough decisions along the way. And there's about a million other things that you probably need to do, but
start.
But if I'm talking to a young leader, those are the things I'm telling them to focus on. Focus on what you can control. Be great at what you are. Get outside of your box. Get involved with other things. Coach a sport. Lead a club. Do something. Do something outside of what you do. Just build your perspective. Ask questions. Listen. Observe. Don't. If you are concerned or confused why a decision was made, if you approach it the right way, every administrator will walk you through it.
Sure.
Like if you do it in a professional and respectful way, but if it comes in like you're questioning the decision, you're going to meet some friction. But if you say like, hey, I want to grow in this, like, because I worked for a guy who would always tell me, all right, put your head of school hat on. I'm going to walk you through this and tell me what you would do. And that was how I was able to ask questions and do those things. And I appreciated it. And he's still one of my dear friends. He's at a head of school in Florida. We talk often. But now, like, I'm still asking him questions. He's asking me questions, and he's been head of school for 20 years.
Wow.
And he's asking me questions like, man, I can't help you. Like, you tell me. I don't know. But those are the things I would tell a young person just wanting to be in administration. And take your time. I've jumped to some bad decisions. Like, they were good for me to learn, but there were some like I was chasing something when probably wasn't what I needed to chase. And I just should have been a little more patient.
Hey, I just want to take a really quick break from the podcast to highlight one of our amazing partners and sponsors, ClassReach. If you're a new school administrator or founder and are struggling to keep up with all the hassles of planting a new school, like collecting tuition, communicating with parents, or handling student data, then you need ClassReach. ClassReach is the all-in-one software that helps with everything from admissions and tuition to classroom management and parent communications. Sign up for a free consultation with one of their school specialists and see how ClassReach can help your school grow today. You guys can check them out online, classreach.com. They are a kingdom-minded company, and I love their leadership team there. I've become friends with a lot of them. They truly are a great company. I support them, and I love them, and you guys will love them too. Check them out at classreach.com. Now, back to the show. Okay.
So,
Let me pivot the question on you then. So
okay.
we got the teacher side. We have a lot of listeners that are school leaders, so other head of schools, other principals. What would you tell them if they're like you? Because you said something that I love earlier. You said, "Oh man, I need to not be selfish, and if they want to go on to something else, I can't just keep them here to make it run smoothly, and it makes it easier on me. If they need to go, they need to go." And so I love that. And I know there's all these school leaders listening, going, "No, if I got a good one, I want to keep them. I want to keep them here." And I get that. It's the selfish, human nature of all of us. But what would you tell other school leaders who have people under them and trying to raise them up to potentially go into another role or be a head of school or go on to another school somewhere else? Like, what would you want to say to them or encourage them with if they're currently leading a school?
Well, one, I think most get it, but the ministry is bigger than you. I mean, Christian education is bigger than you. And yes, we all want solid people around us, but God's going to raise up another leader in that spot if a person leaves. Like we're having some administrative changes currently. Like we're replacing 2 people in our administrative team, and we're moving. And I know we'll talk about this in just a moment, but we're moving an administrator to another administrative position because he's shown a broader ability in an area than just what he's in now. And I sat and asked him, I was like, "Do you want to be a head of school?" And he said, "No." But I appreciate you asking, because we were talking about expanding his role and changing his title, because I was under the impression that he wanted to be a head of school. So I was trying to increase his responsibilities and his title to look better on a resume when he got that opportunity. So I was trying to help, and he's like, I like the new role that I'm going to, but right now I don't have a desire to be a head of school. But he did have a desire still to grow. So I would encourage a leader, it's not about you. You're not bigger than the ministry. And if you have people underneath you that want to grow, more than likely they're working very diligently and they're being very effective because they want to grow. And in reality, that makes the organization stronger, and it makes guys like me in my role look better because people are leading effectively and they're stronger. I would just say encourage it as much as you can. Just because, I mean, why wouldn't I don't want, I mean, if God has people staying here forever, that's great. But if God moves somebody to another role where they can serve and be in another ministry and be effective, like why wouldn't I be happy about that? Like, yeah, it hurts me, but okay, it's not about me. It's about them and their family and their job. So just encourage it.
It's a great mindset.
Don't hold people back. Yeah.
That's good. Well, tell me some, maybe we'll wrap up with kind of this, like share some success stories, or even if you got some flops and failures, you're like, man, I tried this, that didn't go well. You don't have to do that one. But is there anything that comes to mind when you share? I love stories. I love wins. And so is there things that come to mind that you would love to just shout out or highlight for the other school leaders listening?
Well, and I'll give 2. In my previous school, we were very lean administratively. Like the way our school was set up, it was a head of school and director of academics. And that was it. Like yeah, exactly. You tell me, whoa, was exactly right. So we had an internal candidate who was very sharp, more than qualified to be the director of academics. And And I knew that she was great. Like, and she could have went to a public school, been an assistant principal, she would have been fine wherever she went. And I remember telling our board, I want to offer her this job. I want to move her. And they're like, well, what if she does well and she leaves? And I said, well, that's good. I said, that's a good thing. Cause she's growing and we want to build our bench. We need, if something were to happen, we need to develop leaders. And so when I sat down with her, I said, all right, Candace, these are the things that you will do well. These are the things that you will do great in this job. I go, but these are the two things that you will need to be aware of and work on that could hurt you. And I was very direct with part of her evaluations. And she said, thank you. And I told her, and then as we continue to have evaluations, she would say, I understood why you said that, or I understood why you said this, because these relationships did change and these things did change. And so she was able to see that. And, I'm no longer there, but she's still in her role. She's incredibly effective. I do think she could be a head of school one day. She doesn't want to be, but I think she could be, because she just took the steps necessary. And this one, from our current, the one I was just talking about, our middle school principal, the ideal, perfect middle school principal. Whatever you picture, he is it. Perfect. Just relates with kids, relates with teachers, perfect. But his heart is more towards the ministry aspect, counseling. His heart doesn't necessarily go towards maybe middle school discipline, if that makes sense. His heart's just, he's great at what he does, but he would be incredible for our school as director of student life. So removing him from that, where he could be very effective and stay in middle school and we'd be fine. But it was upsetting to teachers because they love him and parents loved him. But I say he could impact a broader piece of our student body by leading our chapels, overseeing our counseling, outside service opportunities in the student life position. So he's able to, I see he's great. He's good. He's a good middle school principal, very good. But he would be incredible at this other role. And we worked through it and he was excited about it. But to me, it allows an opportunity that our middle school job's open, principal job. It's another opportunity to bring in, a leader, bring in somebody to a great place. So I'm excited about that. So it's tough because you're losing a leader in an effective area, but what's best for the school? And we have to trust God that he's going to lead the right candidate to fill a position. So those two are ones that, and it's not me at all. I mean, they're incredible people and leaders. So they were, I'm just happened to be the guy in this role right now that said, hey, let's do this. They're who they are. They're wonderful. So I think those are two that we could talk about an hour about flops and mistakes, but I'll talk about those two as I would consider successes, just because that where they were in the organization and just they were showing the ability that they could do more. And instead of just saying, hey, I wish we could move you up, but you're great where you are. I don't want to hurt it. I mean, we're just saying, hey, let's find a way to utilize your strengths. So.
And it sounds like you're doing just that. And you got
I'm trying.
Huge team. That's awesome. Let's do this because I want to make sure I'm respectful of your time. I know we got a bout here in a second. Any other things that come to mind you want to shout out or say before I ask you my final question for today? Anything else?
No.
All right. Well, let me ask you this one. Obviously, all this has been advice. It's all been good for everybody listening. If you were to share one final piece of advice, it could be anything on what we talked about or something completely different. It could be, hairstyling critiques and suggestions if we really wanted to get crazy, But no, give me one piece of advice, final piece of advice for the school leaders listening.
Well, I won't do hairstyling because it takes me about 3 seconds to take care of that. I would say no matter what you do, always make sure you're protecting the mission of the school. That would be my one big piece of advice.
Amen. I love it. Jeremy, love what you're doing there in North Carolina. Appreciate you taking time out of your day as you guys are technically, it's after spring break. It's before summer break as we're recording this.
And so downhill. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on and you're trying to get you ready for summer. So thank you for taking time. Love what you guys are doing and wish you nothing but the best.
Right. Thank you.
Well, another huge shout out and a thank you to our guests for taking time and being on the podcast today. I love the people that I get to interview in this podcast. And as always, I'm hoping you guys are able to take at least one thing away from today's episode that you can take back to your school to make it better than it is right now. Before you guys go, I do want to make sure you are aware of our 3 free resources available here at School Success. And the first one is, of course, the podcast that you're listening to right now. We are dropping weekly episodes every single Monday morning. We want to make sure you guys aren't missing out. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you haven't left a 5-star review, we would love a 5-star review as well. The second one is on our website, schoolsuccessmakers.com. In the top right-hand corner is a button, School Success Report. You just click that and sign up for that. We send it directly to your inbox every single week. It's full of different articles our team has either found or written to help you, the school leader, be more successful. And last but not least is our free Facebook community called School Success Makers. It's an awesome place. I'm personally in there. I'd love to see you in there as well. Get some good community around you, ask questions, and just have some fun. So make sure you are joining our free Facebook community. We'd love to see you in there. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. We'll be back here next week with another awesome guest as usual on the School Success Podcast. We'll see you then. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Herzog Foundation.